everyone, and welcome to another episode of Business and Beyond's Feature Friday. I am your host, Tania Bartolini, and I am really excited about today because my guest today is Dawn Andrews. She is the founder of Free Range Thinking, and you all know how much I love free range thinking, so it's very appropriate. She works with ambitious founders, especially women in creative and tech industries who have built impressive businesses, but are quietly paying for that success with that kind of exhaustion that just sleep cannot touch. And I think a lot of us know that. I sure know that I have known that before. And so I'm really excited to see what her take is and how she has built her business. So, Dawn, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, Tanya. It's great to have a chat with you. And I enjoyed our I sometimes wish people could go behind the scenes and hear the pre-show chat too, because we always have a good time with those.
Thank you for that idea. I might start
Yeah.
actually, recording those and
The BTS, the behind the scenes. Yeah.
yes, do some behind the scenes clips. So I told you I was excited about this
I
meeting.
know.
So, Dawn, tell me, I know you work with, women mostly, but what is it that you do and how did you get into it? Why?
So I work with ambitious founders, like we talked about before, women in creative and tech. And on paper, well, how did I get into it? I started my business 25 years ago. And sorry, one thing popped up on my screen. I started my business 25 years ago, and I I found coaching and consulting because I hired one. I was going through a round of layoffs in the creative job that I was in,
No.
and didn't know what I wanted to do next. Didn't see anything on the horizon that really lit me up, and hired a coach. And that person was so spectacular that I was like, I want your job. And so got laid off and launched my business when coaching was just a baby industry, a sort of a twinkle in someone's eye that no one knew would become what it has become. And I've been on fire ever since then. And the business has grown exponentially. And I've just sort of kind of followed my curiosity and my passion and my nose and creative people and built a really beautiful business over that time.
But I love it. So tell me about your business. I mean, you've been in business for so long. You started when it wasn't really known. So I'm sure you had to overcome some, obstacles and
Oh my gosh.
doozies.
My family thought I was nuts. They're like, "You're doing what? You're doing what? How does that work?" So I went back to school and I got my master's in organizational development and worked with that coach. But but really what I was looking for was a way to kind of, I don't know, I guess be entrepreneurial and contribute to something that I knew I had a stake in. I had been working for other people long enough. And so, just so that I'm clear, and because you're so great at sharing the different ways people have gotten to where they've gotten to. So, I started my business at 33. So, I'm 58 now. And I had been in a career climbing a corporate ladder, and I just didn't see any other steps that I wanted to take. And I also found myself like annoyed and a little angry that I gave up so much and then the layoffs could happen, you know? And I was willing to trade the perceived security of corporate life for the, oh my God, no, you don't have it, but you're going to make it yourself version of security for entrepreneurial life. And it has paid off like exponentially over this last 25 years.
That I want to say to the audience, did you hear that? The perceived security of corporate life, right? Because it's not secure. It's not. People
No.
get laid off all the time. Big business goes out of business all the time. And this is why this podcast is here, right? I want
Yeah.
entrepreneurs to understand that you're not alone. There are so many ways that you can build security in your own business that you don't have to get a job. Now, it's not for everyone, right? So
Yeah.
if you are a person who wants a job and you want to do a 9 to 5 or whatever it is, then please, by all means,
No shade.
follow
No shade. Just wasn't for me.
exactly right. Like follow your heart, follow your dreams. Um, so, but your family thought you were nuts. So you hear the good
100%.
news.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, if you think about our world has changed so dramatically, especially in the last several years with AI. But when I look back to being 33 years old in a stable corporate job with insurance and dental and, all the things that every parent wants for their kid. And like I have kids that are entering college now, and I find myself grasping for that same thing too. And and I know it's not real, but I reach for it anyway. So when I look back at that time, my family members were just like, what is this industry and this profession and how does it work? And the only thing that existed that it was even close to it was management consulting that also was a corporate pursuit.
It's
So the idea of coaching or coaching individuals or coaching, business to consumer and business to business really didn't exist yet. So I just kind of built it as I went, and it's still 100% possible to do it your way today.
it is right. And I just want to okay. So you have been doing this business for 25 years.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
started a business that didn't really have an industry when you started it. 100% that having a corporate job does not give you security. And yet you still find yourself grasping at that for your kids, right? But the cool thing is, what you're doing, right? You're aware and you can correct that. But I just think I want to showcase how powerful our beliefs and our cultures, even when we know better, they still creep up,
Yeah.
right? And it's okay because it happens to everybody. It sure happens to me
Oh,
still,
yeah.
right? It's not a matter of it never happens anymore. It's
Yeah.
a matter of we catch it and we switch it when it happens,
Amen to that.
right? So what are some obstacles? What are some things that you had to overcome to get your business successful?
Oh,
Right.
oh, girl.
I know, right? Just one or two.
With this long. Okay, so the average startup, even a solopreneur startup lasts between 2 and 3 years. Very few businesses make it past 5 years.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I totally understand why that happens. And so with 25 years in, you know that there are some battle scars over here. And the from the very first days of starting, so this is back in the days when people had hardline phones on their desks, okay? So
Oh.
those are phones that you plug into the wall that sit on your desk. And mine even had a rotary dial on it because I liked vintage phones. But anyway, the first obstacle I had to go to overcome was sitting in my home office that I had, made up and kind of playing business lady and realizing I had to pick up the phone and reach out and let people know what I was doing and come up with the way to talk about my services, to sell what I had to offer, to create a sales conversation, to invite people into work, and then to come up with my own process and way of working and frameworks. Like it really was completely from scratch.
Wow. And so all of that weighing on you and picking up that phone, trying to get clients, trying to talk to someone about, hey, right,
Yeah.
that's scary. It is because
Terrifying.
nobody wants to hear a no. You
I felt
know,
like that phone was like, a Tesla Cybertruck sitting on my desk. Like there was just no way to pick it up or get my arms around it. It was just really, really daunting. And so what I did at that time, also a little old school, was I looked through my address book. Yes, a physical address book.
With the things.
Yes. And I wrote a letter and mailed a letter to everyone I knew saying that I had started this practice. This is what I was offering, and that I was going to do it at a certain rate for a certain number of people for a certain period of time. And then I made follow-up calls to all of those folks. And I think it was like 300 physical letters that I mailed out to announce the opening of this business in an industry that nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew how to talk about it. Nobody had a frame of reference. Like the closest thing that they could relate to was I becoming a therapist? No, I was not.
Well,
Was I like a personal trainer? Not that that's not part of it, but was I becoming a personal trainer? No, I was not. So that's how I started greasing the wheels and getting my first clients in.
wow. Talk about taking a leap of faith and just doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. How did you overcome that fear of, am I really doing this? I mean, and you actually
Yeah.
mailed them. Huh? Did
Yeah. Well, can I curse on this show?
I'm sure we can bleep it out. It's okay.
Okay, so mailing those letters was the chicken shirt version of getting this started because I could do that and they still were like the potential people out there, the potential no's or, rejection was still at arm's length. And it wasn't until I started making phone calls that it got really real. And how did I overcome the fear? You just have to show up and do it anyway. And let your and this has actually remained true through all 25 years is that you have to let the reason that you're deciding to do it be bigger than whatever you're afraid of. So not only the work itself, but the like I do this because I want to make a difference. So that is always bigger than whatever ego, fear, concern, you know, don't want to look foolish, whatever it is. The desire to help and make an impact and a difference for people is always bigger. And that's what helps me pick up the big old phone.
Oh, I love that. Get a reason that's bigger than yourself,
Yeah.
right? And I love how you just did the thing that was a little bit less uncomfortable, right, than picking up the phone. So that's a great start. That just shows that you don't have to just dive right in and be gung ho and let's do it, right? If you're
Yeah.
so uncomfortable that it makes you not be able to do it, but it's something that you need to do, find something a little bit less uncomfortable, find something a little bit less scary, and start with that.
Yeah.
So I love that you shared that and you opened that vulnerability for us. Thank you, because it is scary. It's anytime humans have an opportunity to be rejected is a very scary thing, and it takes a lot of courage.
Well, and let me just tell you, if you've decided to run your own business, that is now the business that you're in.
Yes.
You're in the rejection business.
Oh, 100%. I mean, what Walt Disney went to over 300 banks before he got a yes to open up Disney World, right?
A lot
300.
of banks.
Like, I didn't even know there were 300 banks that existed now, let alone back then.
Yep.
So yes, rejection is the key to success.
Well, can I tell you, like, it certainly is. And looking back on that time, to me, the gifts in it are immeasurable. And you have no idea. Eventually you'll get a yes, which is one of the biggest gifts. And it's the main one that you're focused on when you start out going to those 300 banks. But the bigger gift that comes from it is that you become a marketer through that process. You are actually doing the reps that help you build a business that lasts by going through the process of rejection because you learn how to clarify what it is that you're sharing, what it is that you're offering to people. You learn how to create a sales conversation. You see when people's eyes glaze over and lose interest. Like all of that stuff is vital. I don't know, it's vital reps for being a business owner. And so that's kind of the second layer of rejection that I think has made a difference in being around this long is realizing that actually means I'm doing the work to build the next level of success in the business.
See, and I love that. It's putting in those reps, right? Practice makes progress.
Hmm.
And it's anything. People think, oh, it's reps when you're trying to bodybuild or things of that, but it's really everything in life. The more you repeat it, the better you get at it, the easier it becomes, the more you repeat it, right? The same thing.
And the more detached you become, so that each time that you're doing it, it becomes less important. So by the time Walt Disney hit Bank 150, he didn't care anymore. He's like, all right, I'll just talk to Bank 151 or 152. Like at a certain point, you've honed your presentation and what it is that you're trying to create and what you're inviting somebody into. And then it's just a matter of getting in front of the right people so that they'll say yes.
See, and that's the key is the right people, right? Not everybody is the right person. So just because you're getting a no doesn't mean that you have a bad idea or you have a bad business or you're a bad person. It just means that that's not the person who's aligned with you at that time to buy your services or say yes to you at that point. So who cares,
Yep,
right? Because you don't want to work with people that don't align. It just makes it that
for
much
sure.
harder,
For sure.
right? So just keep going until you find your alignment, until you find your client, until you find what it is that's going to say yes to you that actually works and fits. So, thank you. That is like golden.
Sure. Well, I was thinking like for people that are coming up now in our social media and AI age, there are so many folks that you can follow that have their approach to how to build a business. And there are lots and lots of approaches out there, a lot of experts, a lot of marketing options, a lot of gurus, and there's something to learn from every single person out there. And at the same time, I don't think that, like, to be fully transparent, my business, the model for my business is successful with 24 clients a year.
Nice.
So I don't need, like, you hear a post on social 5 times a week, or that you need to make 100 cold calls or whatever. And truth be told, I sent out 300 letters back in the day, which laid the foundation for the business I have now. But with the model that I have, I don't need high volume. For someone else's business, high volume might be the gateway to riches and fame. I don't know, but I just want people to understand that a lot of what's out there, you really have to weigh it against your judgment and against you what feels right, still uncomfortable perhaps, but what feels right and aligned with you, because there's most definitely a way to build a business that can operate well for you and give you the lifestyle that you're looking for without you beating your head against the wall because you're not doing it right.
Oh, I love that because this is what I'm trying to showcase with this podcast is there are more ways than one to build a business, right? If you're an introvert, you do not have to go and shake everybody's hand and kiss babies all day to try to make a living, right? That would be so overwhelming and just burdensome. Like you're
Yeah.
going to be miserable. What's the point of having a business if you're going to be miserable doing it, right? So
Yeah.
find what works for you. And yes, as you said, you have to be uncomfortable, right? That's the only way we grow is by being a little uncomfortable. It doesn't mean that we have to get overwhelmed and burnt out and, crash. But it
Yeah.
does mean that you have to push yourself, and find
Yes.
those ways and make those mistakes so you can learn from them. And it's great to learn from other people's mistakes, but what aligns with you?
Yes.
As you said, look and vet it for yourself. Does that work for me? Do I feel just a little uncomfortable thinking about this, or do I feel completely overwhelmed?
Yes.
So I love that you've done that. So after you've sent out all those letters,
Mm,
then you got a little bit of confidence and started making phone calls. Then you got some clients. And
I did.
so now, how did you get your business to be successful? What's working there?
Yeah. Okay. So big turning point for me. And I think that people move a lot faster than I do or did. It took me 5 years to replace my corporate salary. So I was laid off. I had a little runway. But in the first few years of my business, I think I made between 25, $40,000 maybe, which to some people, that's a side hustle worth having. Like that's your vacation money or your kid's college fund or whatever it is. I was looking to replace a corporate salary that was double that at that time. And this is, like I said, 25 years ago. So it took a long time to replace that corporate salary. But what turned the corner was taking a really big swing and reaching out to, so I work with folks in Hollywood.
Okay.
And at the time, I was coaching individuals and business owners, but I reached out to a company to propose my services as somebody on retainer with them,
Oh,
which was a shift in my business model at the time. It had never occurred to me. I had an assistant that was working with me that like had her ear to the ground and she said, somebody's looking for somebody, to be inside their business as well as have their own business. And I was like, that sounds like me. And so I made a cold call. I had a conversation with the CEO who decided, okay, well, let's have some conversations and I want you to coach my entire team. Do one session with everybody. I'm sweating under my armpits just thinking of telling you this story, but I got on the phone with him and I coached him. He was not an easy client. He was both receiving the coaching but also testing me.
yes.
And then went through literally his roster of 12 different people that were sort of his best and brightest. And it was a huge step up for me in my coaching approach, in my framework development. Like my business grew leaps and bounds as a result of landing that engagement. And it was a leap of faith for me. It was a leap of faith for them. But it was an incredibly fruitful partnership that lasted 3 years through my pregnancies and sort of set the tone in the stage for where my business was going next.
Oh, I love that. So there's a few things in there that I want to showcase. One is sometimes it takes a while to be able to start making money when you open up a business, right? So it's very important before you even get into it to figure out, do I have the funds? Right. And am I willing to let them go to try to build this endeavor? Right. Because I
Yeah.
will tell you, my first law firm that I opened, it took me maybe a year, year and a half, and it took off. When I opened up my coaching company, it took a lot longer. Right. So don't don't be afraid of not making as much as you want to the first few years, or if it takes you longer for one business than another. That's just normal growing pains, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's very industry specific, it's very different from each person.
Well, and era specific too, Tanya.
It,
Like getting a coaching business off the ground then when nobody had heard of it, nobody. Whereas
yeah,
now, one thing that I think is great for people that are in this solopreneur space, like if you're launching something on your own, whatever that is, could be homemade jams, could be dog walking, whatever it is,
that
there's so much education out there to help you bridge the gap and speed up that process. and so many tools, not only AI, but like we're having this conversation on Zoom. Like there are so many supportive tools and teachers out there to help you bridge the gap between I just started something and now I'm actually making a living at it. There are a lot of great supports to be able to make that happen faster. And I also am with you. Like it's each business is its own journey.
Yes. And then the other thing that you said was that you pivoted, right? And I think that's huge because most people I find have a business idea, they go into it, and that's just where their focus is. This is all I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. It's not working. What do I do? Right. And they
Yeah.
fail to see just a little pivot, instead of the one on one coaching. Wait, I could coach a bunch of people at the same time through a company. Wait, it's still the same thing. It's just a little bit different, right? And just being open enough to see that and say, let me try it, right? Just being open enough to say, this is not about me. It's about the value that I can bring to other people, whether it's through your coaching, whether it's through your products, whether it's through whatever business you have, right? Look at it from the other perspective, right? And take yourself out of the equation. I love that. Because that's what business is,
I
right?
think, yeah, I think it's also really important as a business owner to find community. So when you're launching something, if unless you are receiving venture capital funds or bank funded and you can open your doors with a team, and
Yeah.
even if you do, I still recommend finding a community for yourself because if you think about it, any of us who are starting businesses from stop, like you're starting from scratch, anything that you're doing, you're doing it based on something that you've seen, already done before, and you only know what it's like from the outside. You
Yeah.
don't know the dog walker down the street and what they did to be able to be walking around with 12 dogs strapped to their waist, right? You only see that they have posters up in the neighborhood and you're seeing them walk down the street. And that's where those pivot moments get lost is that you're basing it on something that is incomplete information. You're starting and you have incomplete training or learning or understanding of all the different facets of you that need to be developed to be a strong business owner. And without community and places to get safe feedback, you lose the opportunity to pivot because that pivot that came to me was a conversation with a few other people that were in my community and my assistant at the time. Like they teed up that opportunity for me to step into it and flourish into my next phase. If I had just been in my office on my own,
Yeah.
I would have been going back over the same thinking that got me to the place that I had gotten to and not been able to see the pivot.
See, I love that. Utilize the people around you, right? You are not a one man or one woman show, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't, right? It's about the community, it's about the team, it's about being able to, what is that? Throw ideas back and forth and think about different things, right? Because I love that you said all you see is the posters and the person walking the dogs. Because it's so true. We don't see behind the scenes,
Mm-mm.
all these overnight sensations. None of them are overnight, ever,
No,
right? There are so
no.
many years and heartache and sweat and tears behind all of that.
Oh, girl.
For all
Oh,
of us,
girl.
imposter syndrome, procrastination, not knowing all the marketing, all the different avenues. And you have these gurus and these experts telling you, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. And then you do it and it doesn't work out. And you're like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And nothing, right? Nothing is wrong with you. You just haven't found what aligns with you and what's going to work for you.
Truth. And that is such a huge thing. And there have been times that I have like in the cycles of business, there have been times when I've been led off down a path
That
thinking it's the right way to do it. There have been hundreds of thousands of dollars that I've invested over the years in those things. And again, this is no shade to the people that were making those offerings that I said yes to. But it was me looking back at myself. And usually it was a moment of self-doubt or wanting to go somewhere and get somewhere faster, but maybe it wasn't quite the right there that I was trying to get there to.
Yes.
And every time when I just think about that alignment and come back to it, like the marketing strategy for my business is I have a podcast called She's That Founder. Please go check it out.
I
Um,
would love to.
but I have a podcast, I have an email list, and I work on LinkedIn. And that is it. I don't need to do anything else because I've built enough of a referral base that that keeps the whole business alive. And that's my version of it. But for other people, I know that they're speaking on stages, and that's a big growth possibility for them. And some people have massive email lists, and that's their growth possibility. Like whatever gets you excited to do and show up for on your worst day is what you're trying to do.
That I love that because it's so true because we have to be fulfilled in order to continue and be motivated to continue doing it. And
Yep.
so if you find the thing that makes you the happiest and you look forward to it even on your worst day, that's gonna be your success, right? That
Yes.
is, oh, I love that. So all right. So now you've given us some of the things and insight into what's working and the fact that you don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to be everything for everyone, right? And you can build
Yeah.
what you want,
Yes.
not what society expects of you or what, the next person's doing or what you think you might want. No, it's very intentional. What's going to make you happy and how do you get there?
Yes.
Right. And that's I love that. I love that you already know what your marketing is. You
Hmm.
have that down pat. And how did you get to that? I mean, with everything around saying you have to be everywhere, you have to be seen, you have to be visible. How did you get yourself to be like, nope, my podcast, my email, and my LinkedIn, that's all I do?
Well, like as we started our conversation, I work with people who have reached a level of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, right?
Yes.
Guess who was the first one through the door with that? So I learned because I did all the things. I mean, maybe not all the things, but I tried to be everywhere. I tried to be on multiple platforms. I tried speaking in lots of different places. And my business works at the intersection of three things that most people keep in separate rooms, and I bring them together where I am. Strategic growth for a business, behavioral leadership, like who are you and how do you show up in your business, and AI leverage. And if you think about starting this business 25 years ago, AI didn't exist in any public
Yeah.
capacity, right? We didn't know what it was going to, didn't even know it was going to exist, didn't know coaching was going to exist or consulting in the way that I do it.
Yes.
So some of it as well is just you try it, you stick with it long enough to get some data, and then you pivot again. So that's how you do
Data,
it.
data. Oh my God. That is one of my
Yeah.
favorite words.
Yeah.
Tracking data, right?
Yeah.
It's do it, track it, get some data, analyze it. Is it working? Is it not? Do I need to pivot? How, right? And you
Yeah.
just keep going. But you're measuring, you're tracking, you're looking at what's going on. Not, oh, I feel like it's working. I feel like it's not working.
Yeah, or my bank account's up, my bank account's down, because those two are important indicators, but they are not the only indicators of how your business is doing. And just to be real, like having gone through, I probably in the 25 years that I've been in business, my husband jokes around. He was like, if I gave you $5 for every time you told me you wanted to quit,
Oh,
you know? And it's because there are times when the tide is out. And sometimes it's out for a minute and sometimes it's out for a real long time. So
yeah.
the bank account numbers can be down, but the things that you're doing that will bring it back are some of the other data that you're tracking. And you know that in the past it has done what it needed to do. So it gives you that faith and, courage when you're in the middle of those tough times to be able to stick it out and continue to grow. Numbers
That
are everything.
Oh my God, I love that because one thing I always talk with my clients about is tracking to see what trends you have with your cash flow,
Mm,
right? Because sometimes, like you said, your bank account's going to go down. And it's because maybe you started a whole new marketing campaign and you put all this cash into it. And wait a second, it needs time to catch up, right? There are certain times where you might have an emergency and now you have no more cash flow for a
you
little
grow
while.
and you get hired by a corporation that requires you to have three different types of insurance that you didn't even know existed.
There you go, right? For
Yeah.
example. So those are things that if you're tracking and you're looking at your data, you can you can be risk averse, right? You can plan for them. You can do things to make those impacts a lot lower than
Yeah.
they would be had you not tracked and known that they were coming. Right. So I'm huge on tracking and measuring and looking back and analyzing because it's one thing to track and measure, but if you never look at it and you never look at your P&L and you're like, what's the point?
Do you find like I find that this is a particular thing for women, the numbers part of it. Do you like I don't want to genderize us and we're two ladies sitting here talking, but I do find that with my female clients that it is a particular thing. There's like a I don't know if it's an aversion, I don't know if it's not knowing how to set up systems, even when they have team in place sometimes, or somebody that is on team to focus on the numbers, they still sort of like abdicate that knowledge or responsibility. Do you find that in your work?
I do find that more women than men are usually more averse to the numbers and the accounting. I don't know if this is true or not, but I think that it's from conditioning,
Yeah.
right? And it's ancestral conditioning, not just necessarily the generations that are now. Because
Yeah.
if you think about it, it's only about 50 or so years ago that women were allowed to open up a bank account on their own,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So women in general have not had the opportunity to be in numbers and budgeting and finance, right?
Yeah.
And this is very recent, relatively speaking, that
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
into this. So it's going to take a little bit of time for us to undo all that subconscious, right? Because even like growing up with my mom, my grandmother, right? Like you never, I never saw my grandma do anything with finances or money other than, maybe order groceries, what I
Yeah.
like. So it's something I think that's innate in us because of the conditioning. And I see that women are intentionally breaking free from it.
I'm so happy to see it. And I mean, the funny part of it is too, is I think when we hear the word data or numbers or finance or budget, we immediately think of this big amorphous thing. When the bottom line is you just need to know your own numbers for your own business. And that might be three numbers.
Yeah.
Like, depending upon what kind of business you have, you may not really need to know that many. But if you've
No,
got those three and you're tracking them and you're making like they make sense to you and you know what makes them go up or down in the way that you want them to move, that's all you need to know.
that's it. Income minus profit equals expenses.
Yep.
Right? That's so it's really not scary, but because of lack of education, because of lack of information, because of lack of longevity,
Yeah.
right? It is, I find that it's more scary for more women than it is for men. But again, it's something that is a skill that we can learn,
Yeah.
right? And when you start learning something and you practice it, it gives you progress. You become more confident in it. And then all of a sudden, it's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah. You don't even think twice about it
It,
for
you
sure.
know? Um, so we're coming up on the end, but I wanted to ask, how can people get a hold of you? Can you give us
Yeah.
the podcast again?
Yes. So you can find the podcast, She's That Founder, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the podcasty places. Um, you can find me at dawnandrews.com, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. So if you want to actually have a chat, I'm at Free Range Thinking on LinkedIn.
Free range thinking. I love
Yes.
that. I think we all need to get out of our little boxes and start thinking outside, right? Because that's how you grow. That's how you get more information, more creativity, more building, more everything outside of that little box that we have. So before I let you go, oh, and
Mm,
sorry, if you guys
yeah.
missed it, don't worry. Everything will be in the chat and at the end of the podcast. So you can always get a hold of Dawn. And Dawn, before I let you go, if
Yes.
you were able to give business owners only one piece of advice to help them succeed, what would that be?
Mm, get messy faster.
Oh, I like that. Get messy faster. Very cool. So, Don, thank you so much for being here with us today. To the audience, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've gotten the value out of this that I have, and we will see you next time. Bye.